Ladies and gentlemen, Base Science would like to remind you. Oyster up! DHA in the membrane. Delicious. Another reminder, oyster up again. You think we're gonna fight these bankers with our brains not working optimally? Have you learned anything? These guys are smart AF. They're the freaking cleverest motherfuckers out there. And they don't play by any rules. The only goal they have is to win. So if we wanna freaking win against this freaking Medusa of an enemy with 1,000 freaking tentacles coming out of every which direction we look for, we got one and freaking 10 comes back stronger than ever. Guess what? We need to oyster up. Because that's how we get the brain working. So DHA, seafood, brains, animal foods, animal fat, but especially DHA. So yeah, let's not joke about this shit. JP Morgan, the crash of 1907.
Now it was time for the money changers to get back to the business of a new private central bank for America. During the early 1900s, men like J.P. Morgan led the charge. One final panic would be necessary to focus the nation's attention on the supposed need for a central bank. The rationale was that only a central bank can prevent bank failures. Morgan was clearly the most powerful banker in America.
Beat all these black pill dudes. You have to be this tall, you have to be this attractive to freaking manifest success in this world. Look at this guy. This is who Rothschilds choose for their lieutenant, for the little captain in United States. This dude looks like an attractive fella. No. I got the biggest nose I've ever seen. Also that nose is full of these holes. If you see other pictures, this is kinda what's the word? Good representation of JP Morgan in this image. He probably paid a couple bucks for this one. But yeah, you can be the ugliest motherfucker out there. A real freaking mongoloid, but if you got the right connections, you don't got no rules, you wanna dominate other people, you got work ethic, you do these gay ass rituals, take part of these secret societies, and then hope for the best. And you might just be the ruler of the world. And your bloodline is gonna dominate other bloodlines. But anyway, JP Morgan, he was not top of the world. He was the lieutenant. Why cannot I pronounce lieutenant? Lieutenant for the Rothschilds.
And a suspected agent for the Rothschilds. Morgan had helped finance John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil empire. He had also helped finance the monopolies of Edward Harriman in railroads, of Andrew Carnegie in steel, and of others in numerous industries. But on top of that, J.P. Morgan's father...
Funny how he was so right about all of those guys. Like all of those guys monopolized and make shit ton of dollar bills. Funny how he was able to kind of gather all of those fun to rob people. Feels like these guys work in secret somehow, huh?
Junius Morgan had been America's financial agent to the British. After his father's death, J.P. Morgan took on a British partner, Edward Grenfell, a longtime director of the Bank of England. In fact, upon Morgan's death, his estate contained only a few $1 million. The bulk of the securities most people thought he owned were
illusions, deceptions, lies, manipulation.
In fact, owned by others. In 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt allegedly went after Morgan and his friends by using the Sherman Antitrust Act to try to break up their industrial monopolies. Actually, Roosevelt did very little to interfere in the growing monopolization of American industry by the bankers and their surrogates. For example, Roosevelt supposedly broke up the Standard Oil monopoly, but it wasn't really broken at all. It was merely divided into 7 corporations, all still controlled by the
That's what really brought up the Rockefeller base. That's where he really started to get hold of medicine, doctors, education, all of that. We have already covered that. Check those videos out, because this history everybody needs to learn. Everybody needs to know, like they know themselves, and nobody knows themselves these days. So we are in big trouble. So you need to oyster up, because that's gonna help with that too. You're gonna know yourself a little bit more, because your brain works, your body works.
Rockefellers. The public was aware of this thanks to political cartoonists like Thomas Nast, who referred to the bankers as the money trust. By 1907, the year after Teddy Roosevelt's re-election, Morgan decided it was time to try for a central bank again. Using their combined financial muscle, Morgan and his friends were secretly able to crash the stock market. Thousands of small banks were vastly overextended. Some had reserves of less than 1% thanks to the fractional reserve principle. Within days, bank runs were commonplace across the nation. Now Morgan stepped into the public.
Also in it, I got a little oyster shell in my throat. Anyway, this is also why you want to learn about this and history in general. Like that, shit can happen. Look what happened 5 years ago. Like some of you guys are like, it's always gonna be the same, nothing's gonna change. The world is how it is. It can freaking change like that. If we manifest the change. These guys manifest the change in reality. Other people can do it too. You can do it. I can do it. So things can change rapidly. Sometimes it might seem it's never gonna get better. But for these guys, it got a lot better since then. And people are like, my money is safe in the bank. These central banks, my money is gonna be safe. Nothing bad's gonna happen. It can be gone like that. That's why you need to own your own money. Think about that. Stop freaking giving your shit to these guys. That's all I'm gonna say. And offered to prop up the faltering American economy by supporting failing banks with money he manufactured out of nothing. It was an outrageous proposal, far worse than even fractional reserve banking, but Congress let him do it. Morgan manufactured $200 million worth of this complete... How the fuck did Conference accept to do it? Reserveless private money, and bought things with it, paid for services with it, and sent some of it to his branch banks to lend out at interest. His plan worked. Soon, the public regained confidence in money in general and quit hoarding their currency. But as a result... That's how you get the stupid chips. with little tricks, little clever tricks, rubbing your hands together, making little magic tricks for the NPCs. And they're like, wow, they're looking there. And that guy's there like, bam, motherfucker.
So,
Gotcha,
banking
bitch.
power was further consolidated into the hands of a few large banks. By 1908, the panic was over, and Morgan was hailed as a hero by the president of Princeton University, a man by the name of Woodrow Wilson.
All this trouble could be averted if we appointed a committee of 6 or 7 public-spirited men like J.P. Morgan to handle the affairs of our country.
Economics textbooks would later explain that the creation of the Federal Reserve System was the direct result of the Panic of 1907. Quote, with its alarming epidemic of bank failures, the country was fed up once and for all with the anarchy of unstable private banking, close quote. But Minnesota Congressman Charles A. Lindbergh Sr., the father of the famous aviator Lucky Lindy, later explained that the Panic of 1907 was really just a scam.
Surprise!
Those not favorable to the money trust could be squeezed out of business, and the people frightened into demanding changes in the banking and currency laws which the money trust would frame.
So, since the passage of the National Bank Act of 1863, the money changers had been able to create a series of booms and busts. The purpose was not only to fleece the American public of their property, but to later claim that the banking system was basically so unstable that it had to be consolidated into a central bank once again.
Had to be. Okay, tomorrow we're gonna get into the Federal Reserve. The best bank who made our little fiat money so good. Our economy is booming since Federal Reserve, and we're gonna pay income tax now. Yay! Federal Reserve is awesome. Did you hear me, algorithm? I love Federal Reserve. Powell is smart as everybody in Harvard and Oxford and Yale. And Skull and Bone, no, not Skull and Bone. Federal Reserve, tomorrow. Get your freaking DHA up. Pens and papers ready. Because this shit, you need to know. Like you know your own freaking mother. Which I do hope you know. Because I know some people don't. That's unfortunate. But is it even as unfortunate that what happened in Jekyll Island over 100 years ago, we're gonna find out tomorrow. DHA up! And get outside, but it's raining now. So